Today we're going to talk about a problem that a lot of people hope to one day have. How to decide between more than one offer on your home. Okay, so first things first, we have to talk about how to even get more than one offer on your home. And to do this, we have to position ourselves well enough on the market to attract enough buyers to our home to get multiple offers. And yes, we know it is so tempting to just kick up your price a couple notches when we feel like the market is so hot for us sellers. But we've noticed that this sometimes can be more detrimental than beneficial. Too high of a price when you list your house on the market can result in less people interested in your home. And that is the first flaw right there. You want to attract enough people within your first week on the market. So too high of a price can eliminate a lot of those buyers, which will eliminate a lot of showings, which would then result in a lot less offers, right? And then when you have less offers to choose from, if you only get one, that buyer is going to feel entitled to make a lot of demands of you in order to get that deal closed. So therefore, we need to be very strategic when we price our home. Now, in no way are we suggesting that you should lowball the price of your home, but we are suggesting that you do thorough comparative market analysis and you price your home correctly to sell within X amount of days in your market. And if you don't know what this price looks like for you, reach out to a trusted realtor, whether it's us or somebody else that you know. They should be able to help you to price your home correctly. Okay, so first things first was drawing in a big crowd of potential buyers. Great, we did that. The next thing we want to do is create a sense of urgency. And we have seen a lot of success doing this when we price our home correctly and we set a date to review offers. Meaning, say we're doing showings Monday through Sunday, and we're gonna say we're gonna review offers Sunday at 5 p.m. Now, in certain markets, that's too big of a window. We have to do showings from Wednesday or Friday to Sunday, something like that, to create a large sense of urgency for people to get into that home before it sells. Now, we can talk more about that later, but I do want to mention very quickly that this tactic will only work if you price your home correctly. Okay, so now let's talk about this problem. How to choose between more than one offer. Yes, price. We want to look at price, of course, but there are things that we need to consider beyond price, because the last thing we want to do is pick the highest offer and then it fall apart. So what are some things that we need to look at? First is the buying power of each potential buyer. We need to consider the overall financial picture of each buyer, because like I said, yes, we want the higher offer, but the last thing we want is to pick the higher offer and then it fall apart because they didn't have enough funds to close. Sometimes this can happen, and I know it sounds weird, but I have seen it happen. And sometimes it's because they thought they would have enough money by the closing date to close, but they didn't come up with the funds. They were expecting a gift, but that person backed out. They spent money. Things happen. So we have to see how much they're putting down. So if we're looking at a 3.5, 5, 10, 15, or 20% down, we have to consider those things. Someone that is doing a 20% down is likely a very strong buyer. And the other part of that is considering what type of loan they are using, because there are loans that have a little bit more rigid requirements in order to close that loan, and they are requirements for the buyer or for your house even. And sometimes these types of loans can really break a deal. Okay, next we want to look at earnest money. Are they offering earnest money? If so, how much? Now, I can't say that there is a set amount or there's a magic number for this earnest money, but I will say that what I often see is anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000. And this is a good faith deposit, earnest money, however you want to call this. It is important to have. Now, you don't have to have it in our market, but I think it is important to have because this tells us how serious that buyer is about buying your home. So let me give you an example. If I'm buying your home and I said, I'm going to give you $200 good faith deposit, right? And so you take your house off the market, you don't show it, you don't take any more offers, you're eliminating any other potential interest, and then a week and a half from now, your neighbor's house goes on the market, and guess what? Your neighbor's house is bigger, it's better, and it's less money somehow. I said, hey, you know what? I don't want your house anymore. I want his house, and I'm willing to forfeit this good faith deposit because I'm breaking my contract, because it doesn't hurt me that much to forfeit $200 when I'm comparing it to forfeiting $5,000 in good faith deposit. I might think twice about breaking that contract. I might say, you know what? No, that house is bigger and better and less money, but I still really love my house over here. Now, this isn't to force anybody to go through a purchase that they don't want to, but it just tells you how serious that buyer is about purchasing your home. Okay, and the last thing we need to consider is contingencies. And a lot of people overlook contingencies when they are looking at a higher number, but these contingencies can really make or break your transaction. Some of the common contingencies would be a mortgage contingency. This means they have a specific amount of time to secure their mortgage. Now, there are two parts to this. Yes, they have, it's detailed in the contract how many days they have to get approved or pre-approved. They should already be pre-approved when they're writing that offer, and it's up to your realtor to determine whether or not they are pre-approved. And then the second part is how many days do they have to close that loan? How many days are we giving the lender to close that loan? And then it's up to your realtor to say, hey, you know what? I know this lender and they always meet that deadline. They can always close within 30 days. Sometimes they close within 2 weeks. Or hey, you know what? This lender is always so late, because we have some of those. And they're going to request an extension, which is going to put your timeline back. There are things that your realtor is going to have to check for you. Second contingency that we should look at is a home sale contingency. This means that they would buy your house only if they are able to sell their house. Now, this is really kind of a tricky one, because if their house isn't even on the market, what are we doing? We're not going to take our house off the market, stop other buyers from looking at our house, stop taking other offers when they don't even have their house on the market yet. They could take 30 days and that house wouldn't be sold, and then they're not even starting the process on buying your house. Now, it's a different story if their house is not just on the market, but it's pending under contract, and it's been under contract for 2 weeks and it's going to close in 2 weeks. Therefore, you can close in 2 or 3 weeks. This is up to your realtor to find out the specifics about each contingency. Next contingency is inspection contingency. This is pretty clear. This is saying they're going to opt for having a private inspection, and depending on the results of that inspection, if they are happy with the results or if they want some repairs done, they will move forward with that inspection. If we don't come to agreement on repairs, if they don't like the results of that inspection, they can terminate that contract and they are not obligated to purchase that home. The last contingency we're going to talk about is the appraisal contingency, and this just means that it is subject to the house appraising for the amount that they are going to be borrowing from the bank. Now, you always see these when they are using a loan, because no bank is going to lend you money if that house is not worth whatever they're going to lend you. So if you have a purchase agreement for $100,000, but the appraisal goes out there, or the appraiser goes out there and he determines that the home is only worth $99,000, well, they're not going to lend you $100,000. And that's a very simple example, basically what it comes down to. And the last thing we want to look at when we're comparing offers is timeline. It can be very stressful when you're about to close on your old house and you haven't found a new house yet. It's important to look at when we are closing, how much time they are giving you post-close to move out of the house. Sometimes we see 7-day possession after close, 15-day possession after close, 30-day, and sometimes even 60-day possession after close. It's up to your realtor to negotiate that for you, see if it's possible. Some people cannot be flexible on those dates because they have to be out of their apartment or wherever, so they can't give you X amount of time. But that's another factor that we really need to consider, because the last thing you want to be doing, take the highest offer and then be homeless for 2 weeks. Well, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about selling your house, pricing your house, or any terms or contingencies that might be specific to your situation, please don't hesitate to reach out. My team and I would be happy to help.